Now available on Tata Sky channel number 526.
Hello and welcome to the news here on Magic Bricks Now, India's first property channel. I'm Krishna Kumar. Let's take a look at the top headlines. Thumbs up to Budget 2016. Time for industry to pitch in, says Urban Development Minister Venkaiah Naidu in an exclusive chat with Magic Bricks Now. DLF will launch the country's first REIT in the next 6 months. That's the word coming in from DLF CEO Rajiv Talwar. Mumbai civic body BMC has come up with a plan to clear out the Deonar dumping ground and revamp garbage disposal in the metropolis. This comes after the Bombay High Court banned the BMC from handing out any fresh building approvals without a plan for garbage disposal. In the Art of Living Festival case, Delhi Development Authority or the DDA claims it has not broken any rules in giving the foundation permission to build on the Yamuna floodplains. Magic Bricks Now gets exclusive access to a copy of the DDA permission. Thane residents wake up to a massive demolition drive in the city. The civic body has raised 400 illegal buildings, promises residents the right to walk on 50 feet wide hawker-free roads. Straight to our top story. The government has done its bid to boost the affordable housing sector. It's time now for Realty Inc. to get their act in place. That's the word coming in from Urban Development Minister Venkaiah Naidu. My colleague Deepa Rana spoke to him at length about the budgetary allocations, affordable housing push and the future of REITs. Listen into that big exclusive conversation.
I've been joined by the Urban Development Minister, M. Venkaiah Naidu. So thanks a lot for talking to Magic Bricks Now. My first question to you is that how is this budget, how will it benefit the home buyers, sir?
So it will definitely benefit the home buyer because there are a lot of concessions, rebates, incentives have been announced by the Finance Minister for the housing sector. Income tax exemption has been enhanced. Tax deduction also has been increased. And thirdly, ease of giving approvals also. Ease of doing business and ease of approvals also. And fourthly, with regard to FAR, the states have been given advice also to relax such restrictions also. And with regard to FDI, now it has been liberalized. Area has been increased also. Area has been reduced also. And then affordable housing is going to get 6.5% interest subvention. This is the biggest incentive for the housing sector. I am confident the housing sector will gain momentum. Coming days, central and state together will be moving towards the affordable housing scheme in a more meaningful manner.
Sir, real estate developers are saying that 30 square meters in metros and 60 square meters outside is not affordable housing and plus 30 lakhs of the cap which is there. What do you have to say about that, sir?
30 meters, 30 lakhs is a reasonable. Everybody is not it. I am not talking about the big or smart housing projects. I am talking of the affordable housing project. It's practically somehow people are all happy about it. Real estate sector, of course, they are in business. They will be asking for more. Let us see in future.
Sir, also the tax break norms have become a little stricter. What do you have to say about that, sir? Won't it dampen the confidence of the real estate developers?
Not at all. Because you have made the system more transparent. More incentives have been given. So people will be coming forward to pay tax in a more meaningful manner, because earlier there was heavy taxation. The taxation is not that much heavy as on now. And also the procedure also has been simplified. And returning the excess amount paid also, you have seen the Finance Minister said if one officer is responsible for delay, then he will be held responsible. First time any Finance Minister spoke in that direction.
So the Smart Cities mission, you had told that the Smart Cities can now submit their proposal, revised proposal by 15th of April. So what are you looking forward to now, sir? There
are 23 cities and states which could not make it to the first 20. They have been given an accelerated process to give their submit proposals before 15th April, to revise their proposals, update their proposals, learn from others' experience and then improve it. And once they come before the committee will go through it and then they will be selected on the basis of merit. There is no political consideration.
Deepa Rana there with that big exclusive conversation with Urban Development Minister Venkaiah Naidu. Sticking to Budget 2016, Adi Godrej, chairman of the Godrej Group, has given the budget a thumbs up. He has also joined in on the increasing pitch for a reduction in interest rates. My colleague Ruchi Bhatia gets us his reaction to the budget. Listen in.
I think clearly this budget is growth oriented, it's development oriented, especially in the agri and rural sectors which have suffered recently. So I think definitely so. I think what would be absolutely great is if in this budget session they could pass the GST constitutional amendment bill, because the combination of a good budget and the GST could be very growth oriented.
The RBI governor in his last monetary policy said that it's up to the government to go ahead with fiscal prudence now that they've stuck to the 3.5% fiscal deficit target. Do you think that perhaps the ball is now in the RBI governor's court, and how much rate cut do you expect?
Well, I definitely feel so. I think in a few days' time, I expect a 50 basis point cut in the repo and reverse repo rate.
Away from Budget 2016 and on to the country's largest listed developer, DLF, which might launch its first REIT over the next 6 months. That is the word coming in from none other than the CEO of DLF, Rajiv Talwar. Is this going to bring in stability to the funding the real estate sector? We have the man himself, CEO of DLF, Rajiv Talwar, joining us here live on the News and Magic Question. Mr. Talwar, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us. There's been so much talk of who is going to launch REITs first. Is DLF going to take the lead? Tell us.
Yeah, we would definitely be the first ones for the infusion of funds. The first stage while forming a REIT is to form an SPV in which the owner of the asset as well as the investor into the asset, it can be an Indian institution, it can be a foreign institution, they form an SPV, and then the SPV decides when to go to the market and get the best returns. So I think in the first 2 quarters of the coming financial year, in the next 6 months, we should see the formation of an SPV, and then both the owners as well as the investors and the large ones, especially the large ones, will decide when to go in for a REIT.
Mr. Talwar, I also believe that you were planning to launch 2 REITs, one on commercial assets and the other on retail assets. Is that plan still on board?
We were planning to launch 2 REITs, something of 3,000 to 4,000 crores each, but the infusion of funds coming in right now, which we are planning is, as we've announced in the analyst conference, is much greater. It should be anywhere between 10 to 14,000 crores. So I think that should give a very good signal for India as well as for DLF. It's going to include, it's going to be on the commercial leased out assets. They're looking out for leased as well as completed assets. So since we have a large portfolio in the commercial office segment, perhaps that may be the first.
All right, Mr. Talwar, quickly also tell us, give us some perspective on what your REIT portfolio entails.
No, we've announced and gone public that yes, in one of the firms, DLF Commercial Developers, we have a cyber city in it and some other retail portfolios. I think for all of this, the owners of DLF owned 40% in their own capacity, besides 60% being held by DLF. I think they've already taken a decision to divest that 40% by the owners, and then seeing the rules and regulations into place, awaiting all the permissions. Perhaps that will be used for partly paying off the debt which DLF has, and thereby forming the ground for an SPV.
All right, Mr. Talwar, one last question before we let you go. Simple, do you see your fellow mates in the real estate business launching their own REITs as well? And you do also agree that it's a game changer for the industry, right?
To a very large extent. I think this is a huge game changer for the real estate sector, because funds which come in, they release your locked up funds into assets which are already in completed assets. And by releasing these funds, they are made available for future development. So a good cycle develops, that you have leased and completed assets, you get funds released from those, you reinvest and replow those funds into fresh constructions, then they go on lease, and the cycle kind of continues. It's a self-regenerating cycle. So I think this should be a very big game changer in the Indian real estate industry.
Mr. Rajiv Talwar, CEO of DLF, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on the News and Magic Bricks Now and giving us those exclusive details. Now, DLF is not the only company vying to launch the first REIT in the country. There are other players in the fray as well, and we have Amita Balachandra joining us with more details on that front. Amita, tell us, what have you been hearing so far?
That's right, Krishna. With the abolition of DDT or dividend distribution tax, which is a major tax relief coming in for the industry, a lot of other players are vying for that top spot. What we're hearing so far is that Blackstone, along with Embassy, is about to float REITs worth $2 billion. That's what we're hearing. However, Blackstone and Embassy both, declined to comment on this. What we're also hearing is that other players like RMZ Corp, there's K. Raheja Corp, there's also Blackstone with Panchsheel Realty, who are actually looking to launch REITs. In fact, Panchsheel Realty told us that this should happen in about a year's time or so. So that's there. But of course, DLF is the front runner, like we heard Mr. Rajiv Talwar speak just about a couple of minutes ago about how they're going to launch that first REIT or first SPV, which has to come before floating a REIT in the next 6 months or so. But also remember, Krishna, DLF has a large debt book right now, about 21,411 crore rupees. Now, they're looking to clear that debt with this REIT. Of course, over the next 6 months, we're going to be keeping a very close watch on DLF on this channel.
Absolutely. And Amita, hopefully you will tell us quickly as to when the first REIT and who exactly will be the one to launch the first REIT in the country. Thank you so much for bringing us that update. Moving on. Mumbai's civic body, the BMC, has come up with a plan with timelines to clear out the Deona dumping ground and revamp garbage disposal in the metropolis. Remember, this plan comes a day after the Bombay High Court wrapped the BMC for poor civic management and, in an order, banned new building constructions till it gets its waste disposal in place. My colleague Disha Shah, who has been tracking the BMC, gets us this report.
The tender to clean the Deona dumping ground will be issued by start of this financial year, and the work to clear the garbage and waste that has been piling up at Deona for quite some time and which has been raising alarming levels of pollution in the city of Mumbai will also start by end of this year. This is what BMC officials have informed Magic Bricks now. Apart from this, they also say that to take corrective action and measures, they have submitted timelines to the High Court where it clearly states that the point number one, they have already floated tenders for the Mulund dumping ground and they will close it within 15 days. Secondly, on the Deonar issue, they will float tenders by start of this financial year, and the High Court has already accepted all the timelines that has been submitted by the civic body. Just to give you a quick background of where this is coming from, the High Court in its order on 29th February clearly stated that no new building permissions will be given to construct in the city of Mumbai after a PIL was filed against BMC where the civic body failed to take any corrective measures after a fire broke once again at Deonar on Sunday evening. So clearly the High Court in its order clearly states that no new building permissions will be given to construct in the city of Mumbai. When we asked civic officials, they said that they have not received the court order yet. They are waiting for the written court order, which is expected in 2 to 3 days, and only post that they will be able to take corrective measures and they will be able to decide whether they need to challenge the court order or not.
In the latest development on the PIL against the Art of Living's 3-day World Culture Festival, the Delhi Development Authority, or the DDA, says it has broken no rules in giving the foundation clearance to build. The 3-day festival scheduled to be held on the Yamuna floodplains hit a legal hurdle a few days ago. Remember, the Yamuna floodplains fall in an eco-reserve zone where construction is not permitted. The National Green Tribunal, or NGT, has been hearing this case. Deepa Rana, who has been tracking the hearing, got exclusive access to the permission DDA gave to the Art of Living Foundation. Listen to her report.
The NGT today heard arguments on the petition challenging the DDA's permission allowing Art of Living Foundation to organize an event from 11th to 13th of March on the banks of the Yamuna River. Now, today the DDA's counsel Rajiv Bansal argued that the DDA has not violated any of NGT's order by allowing this kind of permission to the Art of Living Foundation. In fact, we've been able to access an exclusive copy of this permission which is granted to the Art of Living Foundation. In this permission, it is very clearly mentioned that no sort of construction should take place on the banks of the Yamuna River. no sort of enzymes or any kind of material should be put into the Yamuna river, which are the two main conditions violated by the Art of Living Foundation. Also, there are conditions like the DDA has clearly mentioned that the foundation must take prerequisite approvals and sanctions from all the other authorities, and in case if any of the conditions is violated, then the DDA is going to withdraw the permission given to the foundation. Also, two interesting points to note here is that the permission which is which was granted by the DDA is granted to an organization founded by Shri Ravi Shankar. The foundation is a charitable trust called Vyakti Vikas Kendra India. And also another interesting point is that this foundation, this charitable trust, has submitted an amount of 15 lakhs refundable security deposit to DDA. So therefore these two conditions have been granted by the DDA. And also in the permission, the area on which this event is supposed to take place is not mentioned at all. So how much area is the DDA actually allowing for this event is not mentioned. These are the few conditions that were presented today, and the matter is listed for a hearing tomorrow as well.
So there's a hearing tomorrow on that case as well. Moving on to a move that should make the citizens of Thane smile, because the municipal corporation has started a drive to demolish illegal buildings near the Thane railway station. This move is part of the civic body's efforts to widen 11 arterial roads in the city, making them hawker-free and more pedestrian-friendly. My colleague Aishwarya Paliwal, who was at that site today, gets us his report.
Thane Municipal Corporation has decided to take the bull by the horns. The current demolition drive that is going on is aimed at erasing down close to 450 illegal constructions in front of Thane station. The TMC officials say that as soon as this drive gets over, they will start widening up of roads. One of the major reasons why this has been done is so that the congestion that takes place in front of Thane station does not take place any longer, and this drive makes the life of Thane citizens easy.
Now, affordable housing for all isn't just an Indian dream. It is a dream that many people share across the globe. So with innovation rising and technology being at the core of construction, you need not look too far to find that dream home. A trend that's seen a rise in the world of architecture and realty is the humble shipping container home. From Portugal to California to New Zealand, many home buyers are spending upwards of $2,000 to build their dream homes. Let's take a look at some shipping container homes from across the globe.
What do you desire of your dream home? Simplistic or contemporary? Environment-friendly or budget-friendly? Whatever your choice, the answer is a shipping container home. Reportedly, 30 million shipping containers sit dormant across the globe. It has a lifespan of at least 30 years, is fireproof, has low maintenance, and can be bought for just $2,000. If you're unsure about buying a container, then don't worry. Several companies offer prefabricated container homes for all budgets. Let's take a look at some houses. Studio Art in Portugal creates weekend getaway homes and guest houses. They have modern yet vibrant interiors and plenty of windows and sliders to let in sunlight and fresh air. Moving on to Costa Rica, this 4,300 square feet home and workspace is made from 8 containers. The design focus is on maximizing natural air ventilation and light. Additionally, windows and skylights are placed throughout the home to reduce electricity consumption. Let's look at one in Canada now. This home is known for its interiors. Even though the corrugated steel walls are a reminder that you live in a container, the overall design ensures it is as luxurious as a standard home. The second level has wooden panels that add a rustic look to the home. If you're game, you can even enjoy a soak in the freestanding bathtub with the custom glass garage doors open. And finally, Caterpillar House in Chile will leave you awestruck with its contemporary look and feel. Built by architect Sebastian Herrera-Zavel, the home's interiors and views overlooking Santiago City feel like $1 million. So, which of these homes would you like to live in?
Moving away from shipping container homes, let's talk about interiors now. When we think about beautifying our home, we think of giving it a fresh coat of paint or of buying new furniture. And when it comes to rejuvenating our space, the usual suspects are the living room and kitchen spaces. However, if you'd like to learn some simple tips to brighten up not only your living room but also your terrace or veranda, then here's a slice of this week's interior show. Take a look.
One thing I observed was that the setup is very minimal, yet you have not compromised on functionality at all.
So I have been inspired a lot with Scandinavian design. It's a very clean-cut design. There's not drama happening, and they use simple white shades and white tones with off-white and beige, and that's what tones up the entire space, as that is the shade of the entire house.
Well, you also have a beautiful terrace outside which has a breathtaking view. Do you think somewhere that has dictated the interiors of the living space on this floor?
The view of the terrace is basically completely what nature is. You can see the train tracks, but you can also see greenery everywhere. You can also see the skyscrapers. So when you're inside the house, you don't want to see a view in a house that's already filled up too much. So when you have lighter shades and then you're seeing through those shades when you're seeing outside, it helps a lot. It makes it more appealing.
And also, since there's ample natural light, do you think that has been the reason for why you've opted for not very heavy lighting?
In this house, when we have out of 4 walls, if we have 3 walls which has direct sunlight coming in, you do not need that extra light.
Okay. And you know, what was more interesting was the fact that you have 2 terraces, one on top of the other, but the one on the top actually has no bar or railing around.
If you've noticed, the bottom terrace is a bigger terrace in terms of width. The top terrace is a little less, it's a bit smaller than the bottom terrace. If by keeping a railing, the view gets obstructed. Also the natural air that is breezing in, that is coming in, that would get obstructed as well.
Another interesting aspect of this house is the bathroom of the guest bedroom, and you've designed it in a way that 3 people can actually use it at the same time.
The powder area of the guest bathroom is made of a curved glass, a toughened curved glass, and then comes the bath area, which is the bathtub, and then comes the WC area. The WC area also has a door along with it, so if someone is having a shower and someone really urgently needs to use the WC, the person just needs to open the 3rd door and go in. Your privacy is still intact, and at the same time the 3rd person can be washing his face or doing makeup in the powder room, because there's a separate door for that as well.
And I think that's a great idea for all those who are living in a 1-bedroom kitchen or a studio apartment and sharing it, where they actually need to use the bathroom at the same time. Now, moving on to, you know, the kind of decor which you've used in the living space, I observe you've used very clean and cut lines.
We've kept low seating at certain places where there is a view behind. So by having a Japanese seating which is low, we can get the best of it. We can get the view as well as we can get seating there.
So it came to my notice that you actually used space to its fullest potential throughout the house, and the best example of that has been on the floor above. You've actually created a room out of a space that was dedicated earlier to a passage.
Yes, it was a dead passage. We were not doing anything with it, and we always have guests over. So what we thought is that why not create a sliding folding door? And because the passage was in a V shape, we created the door at the extreme end, so the entire V that is behind gets created into a room. So in the daytime, if you want the space to look bigger, I can just open up the entire slider and it will look like one room.
And what about the staircase behind? I've observed that you've again stuck to the color white with the railings and even the steps.
By using the color white on the staircase, it's making the space just look a lot more bigger, because there's mirrors behind it with a feeling of raindrops. So it just makes the space look a lot more bigger.
Yeah, it is. And also the lights, the design is very peculiar. Is it because it goes well with the theme, which is Scandinavian?
This light merged really well with the space. We got it from Lohar Chal. And if you see, we've used a dual tone. The indirect lighting is actually warm white, and the chandelier that you see is yellow halogens. The reason we've done that is because we did not want one kind of color, because it was making the surface look flat. By adding this dual tone, it was well balanced.
And with that, we've completely run out of time here of the show. But if you have any feedback or suggestions for us, write to us on the email ID flashing on your screens. We're also on Twitter and Facebook, so feel free to tweet to us or post a query on our Facebook page. We would love to hear from you. Also, remember to check out our live streaming website, www.mbnow.in. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the news on Magic Bricks Now. Thank you so much for watching. This is Krishna Kumar signing off.